Lin was a 19-year-old freshman at a medical university, and he was excited to start this new chapter in his life. Lin came from a small farmhouse and was the first in his family to attend college. As he explored the campus, he couldn't help but notice all the cute girls and boys around him and thought maybe he could finally find himself a girlfriend. Lin remembered the pink ring he bought from the local market before coming to college, and as he thought about it, a girl named Lil approached him. Lil was from the music department, and she invited Lin to join the university's welcome party for new students. Lin was thrilled and couldn't believe his luck. He was even thinking about asking her out on a date, but held back for the moment. However, just as Lin and Lil were chatting, a tall and intimidating guy appeared and asked Lin to come talk to him. The guy turned out to be Lil's lover, and he didn't like Lin talking to his girl. The situation quickly escalated and the lover punched Lin. Lin fought back, but the lover and his friends started beating him. Just when Lin thought things couldn't get any worse, a senior teacher came over and stopped the fight. The teacher asked Lin to go to the college medical room as Lin was in bad shape. He was thinking about going to the hospital when suddenly the pink ring he had on his finger started glowing. To Lin's surprise, all of his bruises and fractures disappeared just like that. The ring had some sort of magical healing power. Lin was happy to be back on his feet and couldn't wait to see what other adventures and surprises college life had in store for him. 2 hours before his fateful encounter, Lin was strolling through the market when he was suddenly approached by a shady-looking character. The man showed Lin some pretty cool rings and declared that he could predict Lin's future greatness. Lin chuckled and told the man that his only goal was to be the first college student in his village, but the shopkeeper wasn't deterred. He declared that Lin was perfect, but just needed one more thing, a pink ring. The price? A whopping $998. Lin was shocked and tried to haggle the price down to a mere $3, but the keeper wouldn't budge. After some intense bargaining, Lin finally walked away with a pink ring for a mere $8. Little did he know the keeper had found the ring in the garbage. Fast forward to the present, Lin was struggling to remove the ring from his finger and wondered how a piece of jewelry could fix his badly beaten body. He even suspected that the keeper may have taken it from someone's grave, but after 30 minutes of trying, the ring wouldn't budge. Just as Lin was about to give up, he shook the ring and suddenly the air around him became warm. He was transported into a deep sleep and found himself inside a dream, or was it? In the dream, he encountered a smoking hot girl. Lin couldn't help but think it was a naughty dream too. Leo was in the middle of a vivid dream and things were getting steamy as he approached a mysterious girl. He thought to himself, hey, it's just a dream, I can do whatever I want. But before he could touch her, he was hit with a sharp pain in his heart, leaving him reeling and confused. Despite the intense pain, Leo couldn't take his eyes off of the girl. He felt like he'd seen her before and she looked back at him with a warm embrace saying, I knew you'd come here someday. Just as things were getting interesting, a loud knock on the door from Leo's roommates interrupted the moment, leaving Leo frustrated and wanting to know what would happen next. Leo's roommates, trying to make light of the situation, teased him saying he must be having a wild time in his dreams and offered to get him a girlfriend if he needed someone to keep him company. They jokingly asked him to explain what was going on behind closed doors. Despite their teasing, Leo simply brushed it off and told them he was going back to sleep. And as he drifted off, he suddenly felt his ring glowing and red beams shot up from his heart, covering his body. The next morning, Leo was awoken by his alarm clock and felt surprisingly energized. As he went to the bathroom to get ready, he was shocked to see that his clothes were fitting tighter and he had grown taller overnight. Excited to see what other changes had occurred, he went outside and tried to lift a heavy rock, only to find that he could easily pick it up as if it were a piece of paper. Soon after, he was approached by a group of guys who had beaten him up previously. They were shocked by his sudden transformation and commented on his great genes. The guys were ready to pick up where they left off with the fight when it was interrupted when the professor arrived last time. However, this time Lin decided to join in and warn them not to run away if they were losing. This declaration made the guys burst into laughter, teasing Lin for his bravery. As they began to fight, Lin's opponents quickly realized that they were no match for him. With just a single flick of his finger, Lin made all of his attackers disappear in seconds. The next challenger, a big guy, tried to make a run for it, but Lin caught up with him and gave him a thorough beating. After searching through the big guy's pockets, Lin discovered his name was Da Hai and he was a second-year student. Lin warned Da Hai that if he ever had any issues with him again, he would break him into tiny pieces. Feeling victorious, Lin walked into the college only to find that all the girls were shining in his eyes, making it difficult for him to see. He rubbed his eyes, but nothing changed. His roommate asked him what he was doing outside, reminding him that they had a class together. As they walked to class, Lin couldn't shake the feeling that all the girls were shining and all the guys were becoming dull in his eyes. To make matters worse, the girls thought Lin was giving them a creepy look and they all felt uncomfortable. His classmate observed the situation and concluded that Lin must be feeling lonely lately. But little did they know, Lin had simply been blessed with the glowing stare of charm, a rare talent that made all the girls swoon and all the guys fade into the background. In the next scene, Lin was in class, surrounded by gorgeous girls who were making his heart race. But as he sat there on his bench, he noticed his friends in the back row who were smirking at him, thinking he was desperately trying to catch the girls' attention. Suddenly, the teacher entered the room, and although she was a bit plump, her dimly glowing aura was no match for the beauty of the girls in the class. Lin's friends jokingly suggested that they pool their money together to arrange a date for him, but Lin was not amused and told them to sit back down. As he started reading his book, Lin was amazed to find that he was absorbing all the information without any effort. He thought to himself, "This is amazing. I can learn everything in this class just by looking at the book." So he decided to use this newfound power to his advantage and planned to learn the entire semester's syllabus in one day. Lin was so deep in thought that he didn't realize the teacher was observing him. She asked him if everything was okay, but he just shrugged and went back to his book. As the class came to an end, Lin told his friend that he was going to take a break and asked him to cover for him by marking his attendance. Stepping outside the classroom, Lin wondered what he could do with his newfound power. The first silly idea that popped into his head was to use it for manual labor, hoping to earn a few extra bucks. Lin went on a mission to find himself a job. He stumbled upon a labor area and asked around for the boss. He was directed downstairs where he met a grumpy man who asked if he was from a medical college because apparently everyday students come down to work, but they all end up failing. But Lin, being the confident guy he is, told the boss that he was from the countryside and had all the power to do the job. The boss, intrigued, gave Lin a chance and asked Xiao to take him to the sacks. Xiao, who was not impressed by Lin, warned him that if he got hurt, the company wouldn't be paying for it. But Lin took it all in stride and picked up one sack, which weighed 100 kilograms like it was a balloon. He then took 5 sacks at once and carried them with ease, leaving everyone in shock. With each trip, Lin took 5 sacks and unloaded the truck in less than 5 minutes. And after an hour of hard work, Lin had unloaded 3 trucks, leaving everyone's jaws on the floor. The boss, impressed by Lin's strength, paid him well and asked him to come back again. Lin's job-hunting journey didn't stop there. He found another job where he had to unload trucks and place the goods on the terrace of a building. The guy offering the job warned Lin that the job involved a lot of climbing stairs, but Lin just chuckled and said, "Who needs stairs anyway?" And so Lin went on to throw everything from the ground to the terrace with ease, leaving everyone stunned. It was a day filled with amazement and laughter, and Lin was now officially the talk of the labor town. Lin had some free time on his hands, so he decided to take up another job. This time, it was at a big restaurant where he was hired as a chopper. On his first day, the main chef was skeptical about Lin's abilities. He thought Lin was fooling around and wouldn't be able to do the job properly. "You look like you've never even used a knife in your kitchen," the chef said. But Lin was determined to prove himself. He told the chef, "If you're paying me 2 yuan for chopping a half kilogram, I can chop anything." The chef was impressed by Lin's confidence and challenged him by putting a large piece of food in front of him. "If you can chop this, you got the job," the chef said. And chop it, he did. Lin sliced through the food with ease and, unfortunately, also chopped the cutting board underneath. He was a bit sad about the board, but the chef was impressed with his skills. He gave Lin more food to chop, and Lin did an even better job than the experienced chef. "You're a chopping genius," the chef declared. That day, Lin made a hopping 500 yuan just by doing manual labor. His friends were shocked, but Lin told them not to worry about it. "Let's go have some fun," he said. Lin was able to pay his tuition fees by himself, and he wasn't even tired after a long day of chopping. Lin and his friend were out for a night of fun, eating and drinking to their heart's content. Suddenly, his friend noticed some students sitting at the table next to them who were probably from their college and were skipping class. That's when Lin spotted Lil sitting at that table and was momentarily stunned. Her aura was shining so brightly that it took his breath away. Lin's heart started pounding and he found himself drawn closer to her. His friend asked what he was doing, but Lin just told him to wait a minute and walked over to her table. When he approached, Lil's friends asked who he was. At first, Lil didn't recognize Lin, but then she remembered meeting him on the first day of college. Just then, Lin's pink ring started emitting a sweet aroma that made Lil swoon. She threw herself into Lin's arms, thinking to herself that he was hot and handsome. But her friends interrupted the moment, shouting at her for her behavior. Lil apologized to Lin for the commotion and he told her not to worry about it. Her friends were suspicious of Lin, thinking he was flirting with her. Lin's friend came over to the table to see if there were any issues, but Lil's friend told them that she was single and didn't have a boyfriend or best friend. However, it turned out that Lil's friend had actually arranged a date between her and another guy. They apologized to Lin for the shouting, but the guy who was interested in Leal was still upset and started shouting at Lin, accusing him of making Leal dislike him. Leal told the guy that she was never interested in him and that she now had feelings for Lin. She told him to get lost, but he was jealous of Lin and tried to attack him. But Lin was too powerful and easily overpowered the guy. In the heat of the moment, the guy bumped into a tall, big man at another table and both went down. The big man was about to smash a bottle on the guy's face, but Leal begged him to stop. Lin saw that Leal was uncomfortable and stepped in, telling the big man that hitting and touching people was wrong. Lin held the big guy's hand, but the guy thought he was going to lose. He pulled out a knife and attacked Lin, but Lin was able to dodge the attack. Leal was shouting for Lin to be careful, and he took control of the situation by holding the big guy's arm. The big guy's goons then came at Lin with baseball bats, but Lin kicked the hell out of all of them. Lin's friends were amazed at how strong he was and warned him that there was another guy attacking him from behind. Lin took care of the attacker and made him pay for his torn shirt. The big guy and his goons ran off as fast as they could, and Lin's friends asked him to teach them how to fight like that. Lin then gave the money he took from the attacker to Leal's admirer and told him to go to the medical shop. Leal was surprised to learn that Lin knew Kung Fu, and Lin asked her out to dinner. Lin and Leal's friends wished them a good time, and they all left, ready for a night of fun and adventure. After their friends left, Lin and Leal found themselves alone and at a loss for words. Eventually, they intertwined their fingers and strolled through the tranquil park, taking in the serene beauty of the night. Later on, Leal opened up to Lin, admitting that she had just realized her attraction to him. Lin was taken aback by the confession, as he had always felt a deep connection with her, but had never had the courage to express it. Suddenly, Leal turned to him and initiated a passionate kiss, catching him off guard but unable to resist her tender lips. As they kissed, Lin noticed a pink haze surrounding them and wondered if it was due to the enchanted ring he was wearing. Leal then revealed that she always felt at ease and comforted by Lin's presence, and that he was her soulmate. As night fell, Lin offered to accompany Leal back to her dorm, which she agreed to. But suddenly, she became nervous and overwhelmed after realizing that she had just experienced her first kiss. Embarrassed, she asked Lin to keep his distance from her. After returning to his dorm, Lin's friends bombarded him with questions about his encounter with Leal. Though he was hesitant to discuss it, they persisted and even asked him to teach them Kung Fu so they could impress girls at school. Reluctantly, Lin tried to teach them, but it proved futile. Eventually, he gave up and went to sleep while his friends continued to practice their bizarre Kung Fu techniques. The episode began with the events of the second day of Lin's journey, which proved to be quite eventful for the young man. He started by delivering an astounding 1,500 bags of rice to a local store owner, who was left astonished by Lin's speed and strength. Impressed by his abilities, the owner of another establishment where he was delivering water cans offered him a job as a bodyguard with a salary of over $10,000 per month. However, Lin politely declined, saying that he could earn a decent living by delivering goods at his current pace. Later that day, Lin found himself working at the Feng Yun restaurant, where his exceptional talent for chopping and cooking quickly earned him the praise of the head chef. After leaving work with his salary, Lin pondered how he could use his earnings to pay for his tuition fees and treat his friends to karaoke for always taking good care of him. Eventually, he decided to take them to an upscale karaoke place in the evening, using the money he had earned for becoming a Kung Fu master. However, their night out took a sour turn when a rude individual aggressively pushed Lin's friend and insulted them, claiming that they were not fit to be in such an expensive establishment. Despite the provocation, Lin remained calm and urged his friend to do the same. Suddenly, Mr. Wang appeared with his bodyguards, and the aggressive individual greeted him and entered the karaoke place with him. Lin told his friends to let the incident go and enjoy the rest of their night out. As they sang and had fun, Lin received a mysterious phone call at the karaoke place. In another room of the karaoke place, Mr. Wang beckons one of his bodyguards who is serving him a drink and instructs him to summon a woman to his quarters. Meanwhile, Lin catches sight of someone he recognizes as the woman who had contacted him earlier. Politely declining her offer to chat, he requests to speak later and she shares her phone number. Lin's friends banter with him for taking the woman's number, teasing him for missing out on other potential romantic interests. As they continue to enjoy their drinks and singing, Lin begins to feel the effects of the alcohol and decides to make his way to the restroom. Along the way, he notices a stunning girl with a radiant aura rushing towards the same destination, pursued by a man. Feeling alarmed for her safety, Lin follows her to the restroom. Once inside, the man pounds on the door where the girl has taken refuge. The security guards attempt to intervene, but the man, later revealed as Mr. Liu, warns them to stay out of his affairs. Recognizing Mr. Liu's influence, the guards retreat, leaving the girl trapped and petrified, her eyes streaming with tears. As the situation escalates, the girl wonders who will come to her rescue. Suddenly, Lin comes to her rescue and informs her that the man chasing her had fainted. The door finally gives way and Lin enters the room to console the girl. After the ordeal, Lin notices the girl's behavior and finds it unusual. He wonders if someone may have given her something to drink, which might have led to her unexpected behavior. Meanwhile, another man named Mr. Wang is eagerly waiting for the girl to arrive at his house. He had taken Viagra to impress her and was hoping to spend some time with her. However, when he receives the news that the girl had escaped, he becomes agitated and angry. The next morning, Lin wakes up and is uncertain whether the previous night's events were real or just a dream. However, he soon realizes that he is no longer a virgin and had slept with the girl. He tries to find her and eventually discovers her in the kitchen preparing breakfast for him. To his surprise, the girl has also bought him new clothes to wear, which she suggests he try on to see if they fit. Lin asks the girl if she should put on the clothes in front of her. She replies, he can put it on here if he wants, as she already saw everything. Lin goes inside her room to put on. Later, Lin and Yunrong are sitting together, and she keeps staring at him while asking about his name and age. He learns that her name is Yunrong and she is 23. She begins to get closer to him and calls him her sweetheart. Lin asks her about the people who chased her yesterday, and she reveals that they were sent by Wang Zitang, a CDO of Dayu Company, who is her parents' acquaintance. Yunrong explains that she asked Wang Zitang to lend her 5 million because her company was going through some financial difficulties. Taking advantage of this situation, Wang called her to a bar and gave her a spiked drink. Fortunately, Lin arrived in time to save her. It's already 10:30 p.m., and Lin remembers he has some work to do. He kisses Yunrong on the forehead, making her blush, and invites her to visit him at the medical school where he is studying. Then they exchange contact information and Lin leaves. At the medical school, Lin's friend asks him about his whereabouts after the party. Lin lies and says he went to the hospital because his aunt called as his cousin was sick. However, his friends are suspicious. At night, Lin thinks about the changes in his life since he started wearing a magic ring. He becomes curious about the ring's history, but falls asleep as he has work to do the next day. Sitting in the cyber cafe, Lin was racking his brain trying to recall where he had heard the name Wang Zeding before. His curiosity piqued, Lin began scouring the internet to uncover more information about the mysterious figure. It didn't take long for Lin to discover the unsettling truth about Wang. He found out that Wang had been linked to the deaths of 7 girls and had a notorious reputation. As Lin delved deeper into the research, his anger grew more intense. Later, Lin stumbled upon a news article announcing that Wang would be interviewed in front of the Tianyu Tower. This was Lin's chance to act, and he was determined to seek revenge since Wang had drugged his partner wrong. He headed to the supermarket to purchase the necessary supplies for his plan, feeling a burning sense of justice within him. On the day of the interview, Wang appeared in front of the cameras looking smug and self-assured. Unbeknownst to him, Lin was lurking in the shadows, waiting for his moment to strike. As Wang started talking about his company's finances, Lin suddenly emerged from the shadows, disguised in clothing filled with cotton. Without warning, Lin launched himself at Wang, unleashing a flurry of blows upon him with all his might. Caught off guard, Wang stumbled and fell to the ground, completely unprepared for Lin's attack, as Lin made his escape, leaving Wang agitated and disoriented. The news of the brutal assault on Wang Ziding spread quickly, causing shockwaves throughout the city. Qianyu's owner had sustained multiple fractures to his face and legs and was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Despite his injuries, Wang was filled with anger and frustration. He threw a remote at the TV in his hospital room while watching news coverage of the attack. He ordered his bodyguards to find the anonymous attacker and vowed to exact revenge on them. Meanwhile, Wang was surprised to see the news and realized that it was Lin who had dared to take on Wang. As she watched the footage of the incident, she felt a sense of pride in Lin's bravery and determination. On the other hand, Lin was sitting at a park feeling relieved that his plan had succeeded. He removed his heavy disguise and his clueless friend appeared with news that Lin Lil had been trying to find him all day. Lin's friend gave him Lil's number and Lin decided to call her back. Lin Lil invited him to an aquarium tour the next morning and Lin agreed since he didn't have any other plans. Lil was overjoyed to hear this and eagerly looked forward to their date. At the hospital, Wang's anger and frustration continued to grow, and his bodyguards couldn't find any leads on the mysterious attacker. However, his father reassured him and promised to launch a full investigation to find the culprit. Wang vowed to take revenge on the attacker, even if it meant tearing him into pieces. Lin was having a peaceful evening in his dorm room, enjoying a delicious meal with his friends. They joked around and teased him about his upcoming date with Lin Lilei, the beauty from the music faculty. They even asked him to share his techniques on how to talk to a girl. Suddenly, the sound of the dorm's gate opening interrupted their laughter. Before they knew it, a group of unknown men barged into the room demanding to know where Lin was. Lin quickly realized that they were after him because he had previously hurt their brother, Lin Dahai. Without hesitation, the men attacked Lin with a knife. However, Lin was not one to back down from a fight. He fought back with all his might, landing a powerful kick on one of the attackers and then picking up the knife himself. He then threatened the other men to fight, but they begged for mercy and pleaded for their lives. They quickly grabbed their friend and ran away as Lin warned them to never come back again or face the consequences. Lin Dahai, who was also present, pleaded with Lin not to break his nose again and eventually ran away with the rest of the attackers. After the incident, Lin's friends commended him for his bravery and strength. They were impressed by how he had stood up for himself and fought off his attackers. The next day, Lin and Lin Leal were strolling through the aquarium hand in hand. Lin Leal was delighted to see all the colorful fish swimming about. While admiring the sea creatures, Lin joked about cooking up some seafood from the aquarium at a nearby restaurant. But his joke fell flat when Lin Leal didn't find it funny. Suddenly, Lin noticed an old man with an injured arm and became concerned. He decided to check on the man and went to buy food for himself and Lin Leal, asking her to wait for him. However, when he followed the man into the restroom, Lin was met with a shocking sight. There was a man with black gas surrounding his body. Lin felt a shiver run down his spine as the assailant walked past him. Without hesitation, Lin attempted to break down the door where the old man was hiding. The attacker then began throwing knives at Lin, but Lin skillfully used his magic ring to catch them all. As the attacker moved in for a physical confrontation, Lin landed a decisive punch, causing the assailant to faint. The grateful old man asked Lin to follow him to his room to explain the situation, but Lin initially refused, worried about leaving Lin Leal alone. However, the old man insisted that she come too, and they were both surprised when they arrived at the luxurious Jinbi Hotel. Lin assumed that the man must be wealthy. Leal is feeling skeptical and confused, wondering why they had to leave the aquarium suddenly. She demands an explanation from Kato Yuan, the old man who had invited them to his room. Kato seems hesitant at first, but then offers Leal some tickets to the aquarium as a gesture of goodwill. Leal still wants to know what is going on and why they had to leave. Lin, on the other hand, is distracted by the two beautiful girls in the room, who emit an intense light that he has never seen before. Despite Leal's warning not to stare, Lin is mesmerized by their beauty and wonders who they are. Kato introduces himself as the butler of the Matsu family master's home, and he starts to explain the events that led to their sudden departure from the aquarium. He reveals that his master, along with 30 bodyguards and the Ozawa sisters, came to Huaxia for a visit. However, on the second day, Kato's master died from a mysterious disease and all 30 bodyguards were killed by assassins. Lin is shocked by Kato's story and wonders how he can possibly help defeat the enemy of the first consortium. Kato seems to recognize Lin's unique abilities and strange powers, and he kneels before him, begging for his help. He asks Lin to protect the young master for 7 days until their lady can stabilize the situation and send people to take the young master back. Lil is still confused by what is happening, but she can sense the desperation in Kato's voice and demeanor. She urges Lin to help, knowing that it is the right thing to do. Lin agrees, spurred on by the Ozawa sisters pleading and knowing that he must do everything in his power to protect them. He inquires about the whereabouts of the young master when a beautiful girl emerges from one of the rooms, stunning him with her breathtaking beauty. Lin is left wondering who she is and how she fits into their mission. Lin asked Kato if she was their young master, but Kato whispered something in her ear in a foreign language, causing her to suddenly yell. Kato then explained that he was their young master disguised as a girl named Dian Matsuis, and was impressed by how they had met. He asked Lin if they could stay at his place since it was dangerous at the hotel, but Lin lived in a school dormitory, making it impossible. So Lin took them to his friend Yun Yong's place. However, Leal, who was with them, became anxious and started questioning Lin about his relationship with the girl, becoming angry in the process. Lin reassured her that they could talk about it later, but this made Leal sad, thinking that Lin might meet other girls too. To calm her down, Yun came up with a smart idea and referred to Lin as her brother, which instantly eased Leal's mind. After that, Lin asked Yun about her company's finances and then instructed Kato to pay rent for staying in Yun's house. Kato offered an absurd amount of $10 million a day for a week, which shocked everyone. However, Lin quickly thought on his feet and asked Kato to pay a part of the rent immediately since Yun needed it urgently. Kato then transferred the money to Yun's bank account, leaving her incredibly grateful to Lin. Later, Lin realized it was time for his part-time job and insisted that Matsu's come along with him as it would be safer. Kato was initially hesitant, but Lin had a great idea. Eventually, Matsu's came out of her room disguised as a maid, ready to accompany Lin to his job. Yun had given Matsu's her childhood clothes, allowing him to disguise himself as a girl. But Matsu's was uneasy in the clothes and kept tugging at them, feeling uncomfortable with the way everyone treated him as a girl. However, Lin knew it was crucial for Matsu's to stay in disguise because someone was after him. If he were killed, his family's hard work would be for nothing, so Matsu's safety was vital. Lin explained the situation to Matsu's and Kato translated it for him. Grateful for Lin's protection, Matsuis calmly agreed to stay in disguise. He also asked Lin to keep it a secret, feeling embarrassed about being in such a situation. But he appreciated how Lin treated him like a brother. Lin then took Matsuis with him to his workplace at Feng Fu restaurant. Matsuis watched in awe as Lin expertly delivered sacks of rice, cans of water, and chopped meat. After work, Matsuis expressed his admiration for Lin's skills, and Lin felt proud to have earned his respect. Later, Lin went to his dorm to gather some daily necessities before heading to Yun's apartment, where he would be staying for a week to protect Matsuis. When his friends saw Lin with a child, they were surprised and began teasing Matsuis. But Lin instructed his friends to cover up for him if anyone asked, explaining that Matsuis was his cousin going through a tough time after her parents' divorce. His friends were touched by the story and teased Matsuis even more. As Lin was leaving the dorm, he received a call from Lil, who was furious with him. Yun had apparently spilled everything, and Lil demanded that Lin meet her at the cafe in an hour. Shocked and nervous about what Yun might have revealed, Lin wondered how he was going to explain everything to Lil. Lin brought Matsuis along to the cafe to meet Lil, but she insisted on speaking to Lin alone. However, Lin asked Lil to let Matsuis stay as he couldn't understand their language. As they sat down, Lil was visibly upset and demanded an explanation from Lin for not telling her about what had happened with Yun. Lin nervously tried to explain, but Lil suddenly calmed down and took his hands, telling him that Yun had told her everything. She revealed that Yun had been drugged that night and couldn't control herself, but Lin had managed to reject her because he was thinking of Leela. As Lin remembered the night, he wondered how he had enjoyed it so much. Lil then mentioned that he had murmured her name in his sleep and she didn't blame him. Grateful for Lil's understanding, Lin became emotional and kissed her for a long time. Later, Lin went to confront Yun about telling Lil everything. When Yun answered the door, Lin grabbed her and asked why she had done it and if she was breaking up with him. Yun explained herself and Lin tried to kiss her in gratitude, but she refused as Matsuis was present. Suddenly, Yun's phone rang and she left to answer it. While she was gone, Lin instructed Matsuis to find Kato and then left. When Lin returned, he learned that Mr. Wang had called and tried to harass Yun. Furious, Lin took the phone and threatened Wang, warning him never to call Yun again or else he would teach him a lesson. Wang demanded to know Lin's identity, wanting to kill him. Lin responded with a clever remark referring to himself as his own father and left Wang bewildered. Lin then joked about being Wang's father, leaving Wang enraged. Wang threatened to harm Lin in 3 days, but Yun pleaded with him not to take any action as Lin is foolish and reckless. Wang vowed to change his name if Lin can die with a complete body. He threw his phone in a fit of rage, and his bodyguard entered to inquire why he was angry. Lin ordered his men to find Yun Rong and bring her puppy brother to him so that he could torture him. The bodyguard asked Lin to take a rest as he would bring them to him today. Meanwhile, Yun was crying in fear and then slapped Lin, knowing that whoever goes against Wang Ziding will be killed. She then got depressed and Lin hugged her to comfort her. But she begged him to leave and never come back as Wang was someone they could not challenge. Lin knew that Wang had a background, money, power, and had done many criminal things. However, as he dared to protect the young master of the Mitsuis, Wang was nothing to him. Lin revealed that he was the one who beat Wang the other day disguised as someone else. He was waiting for Wang to come and see what he could do eventually. Later, Lin realized that it was not easy to protect the Mitsuis and fight Wang Ziding, and it was not something that could be settled with fists. He decided to use the weapons he got from the killers and practice using them for 5 hours. When Young came to inquire what he was doing in the room, she got shocked to see the whole room torn down. Lin then showed her his skills with the knives, piercing the wall with his power. Young was impressed. Young got excited about Lin's skills and asked him who his master was, thinking that he must be a powerful kung fu man. Lin joked that she watched too many dramas and explained that he didn't have any master, he just trained hard. Yun also joked about how he dared to make a joke on his sister. Suddenly, Lin realized that someone was coming and instructed Yun to stay where she was as he went to take a look. He jumped out of the window and saw some organized criminals standing outside Yun's gate. Lin fiercely beat them up, and one of the criminals pulled out a gun. However, Lin used his training and threw a knife at him, piercing his chest. Young came outside to inquire, but Lin blocked her view of the injured criminals. He asked her to help him find some large plastic bags and get a car as they needed to leave immediately. Later, Lin wrapped the bodies of the criminals in the large plastic bags, and as he tried to put them in the car's boot, Yun asked what was inside. Lin revealed that they were just some guys sent by Wang Zeding who had been knocked down already, and now he just needed to throw them away as far as possible. A confused Yun agreed, and Lin left with the bodies. The next day, Wang Zeding was fuming in the hospital and wondered if his goons had faced a stronger guy or if Yun's brother had a backup. His assistant explained that they could contact their goons but didn't know where they were. Wang vowed not to let this case pass easily as Lin dared to make a joke about him. The next morning, Lin wakes up early feeling sleepy, and as he leaves his room, he saw a beautiful Yun making breakfast for them. During breakfast, Lin asks Kato if he slept well, and Kato reveals that he stayed up all night to protect Lin in case there was any danger from Master Mitsui's enemies. Lin reassures Kato that everything is under control and the noise last night was due to his own enemies, not Mitsui's. Later, as they eat their breakfast, Lin then asks Yun if she has work today, and she says she will be finished in 3 to 4 hours as she has some decorations to do on some matters. Lin then invites her to pick him up from school later after she finishes her work so they can hang out together. He also asks Mitsui if he wants to come along to see his school, but reminds him to act like a little girl, which terrifies Mitsui. Kato warns Lin based on what happened yesterday, so he asks Lin to bring along Ozawa's shoe for protection. Later, Yun drops them off at Lin's school, and he grabs Ozawa's hand, leaving her shocked, explaining that she doesn't know Chinese very well, and he wants to be prepared for any emergencies. As they enter the classroom, other students are jealous to see Lin with a cute girl on one hand, a hot girl on the other, and a hot girl dropping him driving a luxury car. Lin feels someone is looking at him with a weird sight. In the classroom, Lin asks his friend Liu Yang to clear some seats in the front row as has brought some friends to visit his school. Liu introduces himself to Ozawa, and Lin teases him for being unable to move after seeing her. Suddenly, a classmate intervenes and puts his hands on Ozawa's shoulder, claiming that Lin has already chosen Lil and should not mix with other girls. Ozawa becomes embarrassed. In a classroom, everyone was shocked to see Rich Rob making a move on Lin Yang's girlfriend, Ozawa. Rob offered to help Lin find a job after he graduates if Lin would give Ozawa to him. Ozawa tried to control her anger, knowing that Lin and Rob were classmates. However, Lin took action and slapped Rob's hand away from Ozawa, ordering him to leave. Rob, fuming with anger, dared Lin to come to the playground, and Lin agreed. At the playground, Rob's friends surrounded Lin and Ozawa. Lin gave Ozawa permission to punch anyone who teased her, and Rob ordered his friends to attack them. Ozawa smirked and retaliated by beating them badly, while Lin took care of some of them. Ozawa appreciated Lin's fighting skills, and he held her hand and took her to hang out around the school as the classes were over. At the snack street, Ozawa asked Lin, who was good at Chinese, if the shop selling fried stinky tofu was good. Lin asked her to try it and brought some delicious-looking tofu. Master Mitsu's found it yummy, but with a strange taste. As they were enjoying their food, Lin felt that someone was trying to reach into his pocket for theft. He grabbed the hand and realized it was a girl. When Lin felt someone trying to reach into his pocket, he asked the girl why she touched him, but she denied it and called him a pervert. Lin then showed her that his jacket pocket was ripped, leaving her embarrassed. He grabbed her cheeks and asked her to make up for his jacket, or he would take her to the police station for trying to steal his wallet. The girl instructed Lin to let go of her cheeks as it hurts, warning him of the consequences, but he refused and asked her to show him what she had. The girl started yelling for help, and passersby on the street stopped to inquire and called Lin a pervert for doing such things in broad daylight and among so many people. However, Lin smartly claimed that the girl was his sister and that their families were working hard to pay for her tuition fees, but she let them down by hanging out with bad people. The passersby criticized the girl for wasting her parents' efforts, and she was shocked by Lin's smart move. The girl tried to kick Lin, but he grabbed her legs. She left crying, stating that she would not let this go. Ozawa offered to catch the girl, but Lin refused, saying that she was just a thief. He then became curious as to why Yun had not come to pick them up yet. He tried calling Yun and was surprised when the phone call notification read "Little Brother," realizing that Yun knows how to flirt. However, when the call was answered, he was shocked to find that it was Wang Ziding on the other end. Lin threatened to kill Wang if he dared to touch Yun, but Wang claimed that he was waiting for Lin and would send him some pictures to enjoy. Wang instructed Lin to come to an abandoned factory in the North Rural area at 10 p.m. and promised to let Yun go if Lin agreed to be beaten by him. Lin agreed to comply with all of his conditions as long as Wang did not hurt Yun. Wang told Lin to come inside the building for a talk when he arrived. Ozawa inquired about what was happening, but Lin asked her to take Mitsu's back and tell Kato that he would be late tonight. He warned her to be careful at home. Later that night, Lin arrived at the abandoned factory and called Wang to ask about his whereabouts. Wang told Lin to calm down and said that Yun was inside the building. He instructed Lin to come inside for a talk. Wang Zeding was enjoying life with his girlfriend in the hospital, confident that Yusan had prepared for Lin's arrival at the abandoned factory. He calls Yusan and instructs him to beat Lin very badly, making him a cripple as soon as he enters the factory, and also to strip off his tongue and eyes in front of Yun. Yusan asks Wang if he can do something with Yun, as she has good looks, but Wang denies as her father has a good relationship with him. However, he also orders him to slap Yun before releasing her. Yusan expresses concern that Yun might call the police after witnessing Lin's murder, so Wang tells him to do what he wants. In the abandoned factory, Tusan teases Yun, telling her that Wang has given them permission to do anything they want to her. Yun is terrified and bites Tusan's hand, making it bleed. Yusan slaps her and threatens to harm her in front of Lin. Suddenly, Lin appears and grabs Yusan's hands, revealing that he has killed all of his goons with his knives. He breaks Yusan's hands for slapping Yun and then badly beats him up. After the fight, Lin apologizes to Yun for arriving late and then releases her from her ropes. She hugs him and asks if Yusan is dead, but Leah reveals that he has been merciful and that Yusan has only fainted. Lin sprays Yusan with water to wake him up and vows to make him pay for harassing Yun. Yun is impressed by Lin's bravery and willingness to protect her. After splashing water on Yusan to wake him up, Lin threatens him with his knife to reveal the location of Wang Ziding's hospital. Yusan begs for his life and reveals that he is from the Black Gun Gang and that it would not be good for Lin to harm him. He tells Lin that Wang Ziding is at the 365 ward of the Central Hospital and that the gang has around 100 people with a gun each who follow Wang's orders for the safety of his company. Lin then decides that Yusan is of no use to him anymore. Yusan pleads for his life as Lin smirks, prepared to harm him with his knife. Later that night, Kato asks about the injuries and torn clothes of Yun, but Lin reassures him that the matter is closed. He hugs Yun and offers to help her wash up, which surprises Kato, who notes that Mr. Lin likes beautiful girls very much. Meanwhile, at the abandoned factory, a doctor explains to Wang Ziding's father that their men died in a strange way, with stab wounds, and Yusan even got his skull fractured. He is shocked by the extent of their injuries, as according to the wound, Yusan bones were broken by punches. Later, Wang Ziding receives a call from his father, who reveals that all of their men have died. He orders his son to leave the hospital immediately as it is not safe for him anymore. His father berates him for messing with the most dangerous person and then calls Mr. Xu to hire his best mercenary for a month to take care of the matter. The next day, Lin tricks Yun into thinking that he is sleeping and grabs her when she tries to wake him up. During breakfast, Lin asked about the situation in Master Mitsui's home turf. Kato reassures him that Big Master is controlling the whole powers gradually and that they will leave after 2 more days at most. Lin then asks the Ozawa sisters to join them for breakfast when he receives a phone call. Lin realizes that it is Wang Ziding, as he saw the same number on Yun's phone earlier. However, when he picks up the phone, he realizes that Wang was able to know about his identity and all the background information, leaving him shocked. Lin spoke with Wang and asked what he wanted. Wang replied that they needed to pass this situation without causing trouble for either of them. He acknowledged his power and instructed Lin to do as he pleased with his men. Wang begged to be left alone, claiming he had transferred 1 million to Lin's account. Suddenly, Wang's father took the phone and told Lin that he also had parents, so it would be better for them to compromise. When Yun asked about the situation, Lin explained that Wang had called to compromise. Although Yun was hesitant about Wang's intentions, Lin reassured her that he would make him pay if he lied. After the discussion with Wang, Lin and his friends were driven back to school by Yun. Lin joked with Yun about avoiding getting kidnapped again. However, their conversation was interrupted by an angry Leal who criticized Lin for not thinking about calling her. Lin tries to explain that he was busy, but Leal hugs him and insists that he spend time with her that day. When she sees Ozawa, she becomes jealous and assumes that Lin is seeing another girl. Lin tells her that he is going to class and asks if she wants to join him for the medical class, which she does. In class, Lin is greeted by Lai Xiaohong, who asks if Leal is his girlfriend. Lin confirms that she is and says that they are a good match, making Leal happy. Ozawa observes that Lin is really good at dating 2 girls at once without making them jealous of each other. As the class starts, Leal sits on one side of Lin while Lai sits on the other. Leal is filled with teenage dreams whenever she's close to Lin, while Lai feels a little hot and wonders if something is wrong. Leal had been noticing that her feelings for Lin were getting stronger the more time she spent around him, despite thinking that she would eventually get used to it. Suddenly, she began feeling different, but when Lin inquired about it, she asked him to leave class with her. He refused. All of a sudden, Leal made a loud noise that shocked everyone in the class. The professor asked who was making such a beautiful sound, and Lin became embarrassed and left with her. His friend Liu Yang thought Lin was showing off by bringing 2 attractive girls to class. Later, as they walked holding hands, Lin asked Leal what was wrong. She blamed him for the embarrassing moment and began crying, worried about what people would think of her. She asked Lin to take responsibility for the incident. However, Lin argued that he had done nothing wrong and that it was Leal who asked him to take the classes with her, and she insisted to sit beside him. Lin then realized that Leal had a fever, which she discovered by touching her forehead with his hand, which had a magic ring on it. As the ring got closer to Leal, she felt the strange feeling again. She screamed at Lin to not touch her, and Ozawa also admitted to feeling a weird sensation when she was close to Lin. Lin was confused and hugged Leal, urging her to tell him what the feeling was or he would hold her like this until she did. Lil pushed him away but eventually explained that every time this feeling came it made her want to hug him. Lin realized that it makes sense as the first time Lil kissed him in that night when Yunrong sat on him. It'd fall for him when they are near him, but he knows that it is not the conclusion yet, so Lin decides that he has to do some research. Ozawa suddenly comes up with a bad feeling. As Ozawa was about to speak, Lin interrupted her by holding her hands as he had to take a test. He asked if she felt anything strange, and she admitted that she did. Lil then stopped Lin and revealed that not only she and Ozawa, but other girls who even stand near him lose control of their feelings. She asked how they should deal with this situation. Lin became confused, and a furious Lil yelled that it was gross how girls feel when they see him. He tried to calm her by revealing that the night they had some feelings, he saw a red light on her body. This time, when he saw that light, he couldn't leave her anymore. He reassured her that he would not leave her because her light is red, which makes him feel a sense of positivity and energy. This made Lil happy, and he teased her that if she didn't believe him, he could help her check in a private place. Ozawa and Mitsuis were confused as they listened to them talking, and then Ozawa received a call. She revealed to Lin that her master had sent people to take her back. Lin went to Yun's house, where he was surprised to see many cars and bodyguards. Yun greeted him and explained that they were there to take Mitsuis back home. She also told him how she was stunned when she saw them because she thought they were Wang Zeding's men. Suddenly, Mitsuis arrived and all the guards bowed, leaving Lin surprised. Kato then came and said that they agreed to all of Lin's demands. Lin liked Mitsuis very much, and it was his pleasure to help her. He asked them not to forget to notice him when they visited his country next time. Kato called Lin a good gentleman and gave him the dragon card of his house as a mark of their friendship. Lin agreed to take it. Mitsuis then said something to Kato, who commanded the Ozawa sisters to come to him. He revealed that the young master said that Mr. Lin liked them very much, and the master had decided to leave them there to accompany Mr. Lin. They agreed to accompany him as his maids, leaving Lil and Yun shocked. Lin initially didn't want to keep the maids, but Kato insisted him to keep them as they were best maids of his family, reassuring him that they would help him with many things and it was what their young master wanted. Lil and Yun were fuming as Lin wondered that he can't deal with them with these two maids, but as he will regret for the rest of his time for rejecting them, he reluctantly agreed, but made it clear that they could leave at any time. Then they bid an emotional farewell to Mitsuis. Later at the house, the maids began serving him by feeding him fruits and offering give him a massage. However, Lil and Yun became angry and mocked Lin for enjoying their services and wanting them to take off while massaging him. This made Lin regret his decision to keep them, and he moved to a single chair to avoid them. To his surprise, the Ozawa sisters followed him and he yelled at them to stop and leave him alone, which made them cry. When Lin asked them what was wrong, they explained that they felt like he hated them. Yun explained to Lin that the maids in big families receive specialized training from a young age and their purpose is solely to serve their masters. If they are fortunate enough to please their master, they may be able to marry him and gain some level of freedom. However, if they fail to please their master, they may be trapped in the house as a lifelong maid. Then they begged Lin not to hate them and assured him that he could punish them if they did anything wrong. Lin was surprised and saddened that such strict rules exist at this time and asked Yun to take Lil away so he can handle the situation. While Lil and Yun were in the kitchen, Lin calmed down and explained to the maids that he was uncomfortable with them being so close to him. Suddenly, Lin had a realization and kissed both of their foreheads, leaving them feeling flustered. They thought that their master actually liked them. However, when one of the sisters touched Lin, she felt a strange feeling and then tried to kiss him. Lin hesitated and was unsure of what to do next. That's it for this part. If you want to find out what happens next, make sure to hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon.